Warren Buffett didn't become the Oracle of Omaha by accident. His fortune, over $100 billion, wasn't the result of luck or some secret insider trick. It was the product of discipline, consistency, and a set of daily rituals he has followed for most of his life. The truth is, Buffett's habits aren't flashy. They don't involve working 18 hours a day, meditating on mountaintops, or living in a futuristic mansion. Instead, they are deceptively simple practices that almost anyone can replicate. Today, we're unlocking Buffett's vault to uncover 4 of the most powerful habits behind his rise to the top. His 5-hour daily reading routine, the 80-20 rule he applies to almost everything, why he starts every single morning with newspapers, and his surprisingly simple decision-making framework. By the end, you'll see exactly how these habits built legendary wealth and how they might transform your own life if you apply them. Let's start with reading, which Buffett calls the foundation of his success. Every day, Warren Buffett spends about 5 hours reading. That's right, 5 hours. He devours annual reports, newspapers, biographies, industry journals, and countless books. When asked once about the secret to wealth, Buffett held up a stack of papers and said, "Read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest." That last phrase is the key. Compound interest isn't just for money, it's for knowledge too. Every page Buffett reads becomes another brick in a vast mental library he can pull from when making billion-dollar decisions. This constant stream of information helps him see patterns, understand industries, and recognize opportunities that others miss. But here's the important part. Buffett doesn't read just for entertainment. He reads deliberately, to build judgment. Charlie Munger, his longtime partner at Berkshire Hathaway, once said, "Warren is a learning machine. The more he learns, the more he earns." Now, you might be thinking, sure, Buffett can afford to sit around reading all day. I don't have that luxury, and that's true. Most of us can't spend 5 hours buried in books. But the lesson isn't the number of hours. It's the discipline of consistent learning. Even 30 minutes a day of high-quality reading, books on business, psychology, history, or biographies of successful people can shift the way you think. Over weeks and years, that knowledge compounds. Buffett simply scaled that habit to an extreme. If you want to borrow one thing from Buffett's routine, make it this: carve out time every single day to feed your mind. Knowledge is a lifelong investment, and as Buffett proves, it pays the highest dividends. Another habit that defines Buffett's daily life is his use of the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This principle suggests that 80% of outcomes come from just 20% of efforts. Buffett doesn't spread himself thin chasing every opportunity. Instead, he focuses ruthlessly on the small number of things that actually matter. Take his investing style. While many investors diversify into dozens of companies, Buffett concentrates on a handful of businesses he deeply understands. He once said, "Wide diversification is only required when investors do not understand what they are doing." Instead of placing hundreds of small bets, he places a few large ones where he has the highest conviction. But it goes beyond investing. Buffett applies this mindset to his daily calendar. Unlike most CEOs, who are booked solid from dawn to dusk, Buffett keeps his schedule almost shockingly empty. Why? Because he knows that the majority of his impact comes from a few high-value decisions, not from endless meetings or busyness. He once remarked, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Here's how you can apply this to your own life. Identify the 20% of tasks, habits, or relationships that create 80% of your results. Focus your energy there and ruthlessly cut out distractions. Whether it's work, investing, or personal growth, doubling down on your vital few produces outsized returns, just like it has for Buffett. Now let's look at a smaller habit that reveals a bigger philosophy. Buffett begins every single morning by reading newspapers. For decades, he has started his day with publications like the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, and his hometown, Omaha, World Herald. Why newspapers? In Buffett's view, they provide a daily pulse on the world. They keep him grounded in current events, market trends, and business developments. And perhaps more importantly, they give him perspective. Buffett doesn't obsess over minute-to-minute news, but he uses newspapers to build a broad, long-term understanding of where the world is heading. This routine also speaks to something larger. Buffett's commitment to starting the day with input rather than output. While many people wake up and immediately rush into emails, tasks, or social media, Buffett begins with learning. His mornings aren't reactive, they're intentional. This is a habit anyone can copy. You don't need to read 5 different financial papers. But imagine replacing your morning scroll through Instagram or Twitter with reading a few thoughtful articles or even a chapter of a book. That small shift sets the tone for the entire day, just like it does for Buffett. And remember, Buffett is proof that staying informed doesn't mean being glued to breaking news all day. It means deliberately feeding your mind with information that builds understanding. Finally, let's explore the habit that ties all the others together, Buffett's simple decision-making framework. Despite dealing with billions of dollars and complex businesses, Buffett keeps his approach astonishingly simple. At the core, he asks 3 questions whenever he makes a decision. Do I understand it? Does it fall within my circle of competence? Is it a long-term winner? If the answer to any of those is no, he walks away. Buffett has often said, the size of your circle of competence isn't very important, but knowing its boundaries is vital. That's why he avoids industries he doesn't understand, like certain tech startups, even when others are making huge profits. This disciplined decision-making is why Buffett rarely acts impulsively. He knows that opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. He'd rather wait for the right bus than jump on the wrong one in a rush. There's also an elegance to the way he frames big choices. Buffett once gave advice to students. Write down the 25 things you want to do in life. Now circle the top 5, and then avoid the other 20 at all costs. Those are the distractions that will keep you from success. You can apply this to your own decisions too. Instead of trying to evaluate every option in the world, build a filter. Decide on the principles that guide your choices and stick to them. Over time, this saves mental energy, reduces mistakes, and builds consistency. The very traits that made Buffett one of the greatest investors of all time. When you step back, what stands out about Buffett's habits is how ordinary they look on the surface. Reading, focusing, staying informed, and making simple decisions. These don't sound like billionaire secrets. But their power lies in consistency. Buffett has practiced them every day for decades, and the compounding effect has created extraordinary results. The lesson for us is simple. Wealth, success, and wisdom aren't built overnight. They're the result of small, disciplined habits repeated over a lifetime. Buffett shows us that you don't need genius IQ or insider access to build massive success. What you need is patience, discipline, and the humility to stick with simple principles long enough to see them work. So the next time you wonder how Warren Buffett built his $100 billion fortune, remember, it wasn't luck. It was 5 hours a day of reading. It was applying the 80-20 rule to every decision. It was starting each morning by feeding his mind with newspapers, and it was filtering his choices through a simple, disciplined framework. Which billionaire's routine surprised you most? Drop a comment below and let me know which vault you want open next. Don't forget to subscribe for more legendary wealth secrets.